they would freak out like it was jubilation. Like, yeah, and these are kids who were from like the San Francisco Peninsula who had never seen the ocean. And so this location is going to be a hub for those transformations to be initiated.
If someone feels like they're not unique or doesn't know necessarily how to express it or how their uniqueness is useful, what would you suggest?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is spending alone time in nature.
Spend alone time in nature.
Hi, I'm Sterling. Welcome to my channel. It's all about the exploratory, and I'm really big on sharing stories. Subscribe for good vibes!
There's going to be a river and a meadow and a forest, and there's going to be a huge piece of property, and there's going to be like, it's going to be segregated into different areas. So like the herd pack animals can be like have their own area, and people can only enter into the animal arena when they have like centered in themselves enough to like not emotionally throw up on the animals, because otherwise, you know, creatures are such sponges that
someone's like, oh, Liz, I just want to hug you.
And then they just give all their negative energy to the animals. So it's about just
God.
It's just being
Petting zoo horror story.
Right, exactly. Just imagine like the potency that can arise just like of being in the same vicinity as like a cougar or as like a zebra. Or, I'm just thinking,
especially if you've never experienced it.
Right.
Like, have you seen inner city kids experience nature like that?
Yes, even just people, when I worked at Westminster Woods and people would see like a deer, they would freak out like it was jubilation. Like, yeah, and these are kids who were from like the San Francisco Peninsula who had never seen the ocean before, or something like that. There are people who live in the Mission who don't go to the ocean.
Oh,
I know, that's really sad.
that's just weird.
It's called Amagi, which is Sumerian for return to mother. It's going to be the place that people who are ready to, for lack of a better word, like transcend this paradigm and like heal themselves to, whether that's like physical malformities or mental disease, depression, anxiety, all these modern culture problems, and go to recalibrate. And then it's not like a residential place where people like will live forever, but they can stay for as long as they need. It'll be like a jumping off point, be like, okay, I've had all this like muck either revealed or worked through. Obviously there's no end point where you're not, you know, but getting people to a place where they're able to then function in this society in a way where they can bring their gifts, because every human has a gift and every person has their special medicine, and we need that right now. And no more homogenizing, no more all the same, like no more sameness. You need people to bring their uniqueness, and in order to tap into that uniqueness, you have to like peel away the layers of trauma and pain and rejection and shame and guilt and so this location is going to be a hub for those transformations to be initiated.
If someone feels like they're not unique or doesn't know necessarily how to express it or how their uniqueness is useful, what would you suggest?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is spending alone time in nature.
Spend alone time in nature.
Like, if there's this practice called the sit spot, I mean, ideally it's every day, but that's not feasible usually. Once a week, you find a place out in nature. It can even just be a park, you know, if you're in the inner city or whatnot, but you go to that same spot every time, and all you do is you do what feels comfortable to your body. That could be laying down, sitting down, leaning against a tree, and you just sit. And it's not meditation where you like close your eyes and count your breaths or whatnot. No, you just sit there
and you don't try to control what's happening.
And you see what emerges. And what tends to happen is that after about 15-20 minutes, the nature surrounding areas gets used to your presence being there, and animals and birds and things start to happen, and you begin to notice things. Nature responds to you in a way that it mirrors to you what you need to see. So I've worked with people who have gone on a sit spot, and 25 minutes into sitting there, they notice a rotting piece of wood, and they see this piece of wood, and all of a sudden they were reminded about some emotional distress they were feeling, and they're like, oh, that rotting piece of wood is like my rotting heart, and how I need to heal this portion of myself. So very profound things can happen just being in nature.
Is it important to be touching the earth or rock or tree or something in some way?
Whatever feels good to you in the moment. So some people just sit and observe. Other people interact with things, like, you know, picking up a flower or a rock. It's spontaneous. It's not planned. But the trick is to go back to that same spot, because every time you return, you'll see something new. Something new will arise or emerge, and there's a lot of wisdom to be gleaned from the natural world. It just takes us to slow down and to open up our awareness to the wisdom, and it will show itself. I've done this practice with people who are CEO techs in San Francisco, who are always like with their Bluetooth and on their phone and with their computers. You send them out to be quiet by a tree for 30 minutes and they'll come back crying. Yeah, it's really profound. There's a lot of grief that emerges, sadness that people don't feel, but that's a good thing, because you have to feel those feelings so that they can pass through you. Because if you just hang on to it, that's where you get problems. That's one practice I recommend to people. Like,
Oh, just sitting outside?
well, you're not on your phone, you're not listening to earbuds, you are not talking to anybody. You're essentially with yourself, but it's not as structured as meditation.
So you can't do it wrong.
No, there is no wrong. It's just sitting and seeing what emerges. Is based upon utilizing indigenous wisdom, so the idea of community, and how if one person in a community is unwell, then the rest of the community is unwell. So how do we support that one person?
What is indigenous?
Indigenous meaning pre-Western ways of being. So pre-industrial revolution, smaller communities, tribal living, even I would say like medieval Europe would be considered indigenous, because there's just more hamlets of smaller groups of people instead of having mega cities, megatropolises, where you just kind of get lost in the crowd.
You don't know the people you're standing next to.
Right. Whereas in village life, everybody had a role. There was the baker, there was the milkmaid, there was the blacksmith.
So you knew your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You have to feel like you were seeking purpose. The tea!
The tea. That's what I'm moving towards. But that's like a grander vision. You know,
Good.
that's...
Gotta have one of those.
I've even like drawn out what like the entryway is gonna look like. You walk in, it's a big conservatory with this huge crystal standing in the middle.
What kind of crystal?
I think like just like a big Lumerian crystal. Big old quartz pillar.
Quartz!
Mm-hmm. Amethyst, maybe?
Where is it gonna be? North America? California?
Permits to build anything in California are crazy expensive.
So you'll have to wait until California secedes.
Right. Maybe Oregon? I don't know. We'll see where life takes me.
So then with your vision
Mm-hmm.
and your degree, your new degree,
Mm-hmm.
your multiple degrees,
Oh my god.
how are you incorporating those things with your artwork? With the
Oh, that's
many
it.
years that you spent being a professional artist
Oh my
and
gosh.
practicing art, like how are those the same thing?
How are those the same thing?
And for any of you that are interested in learning about traveling, how to do it safe, and the lessons that I've learned through trial and a lot of error, check out the link in the description box down below where I share my tips and tricks for traveling. Thanks for making space in your brain for this video. Hit the thumbs up, share it with someone you care for, subscribe for good vibes, ring my bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. Leave a comment down below. You can come find me on social